Welcome to another episode of the Tech Tribe podcast. Today, we are talking about a topic that's becoming increasingly important in digital payments, payment orchestration. More specifically, how companies like DINAPE and G+D Netcetera work together to create payment experiences that are not only secure, but also smooth, flexible, and of course, easier for users to navigate. On one side, DINAPE helps orchestrate complex payment journeys in real time, balancing trust, risk, and user experience. On the other, G+D Netcetera provides the secure authentication infrastructure behind those journeys with strong expertise in 3D secure and digital payment technologies. Together, this creates a powerful combination: intelligent decision-making paired with secure and reliable execution. And to explore this topic in more detail, I'm joined by two experts today: Thomas Tittelbach, Chief Product Officer at DINAPE, and Matthias Salmon, Sales Director at Germany, G+D Netcetera. Great to have you both here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ivana. I'm really looking forward for this podcast and the discussion.
Perfect. So I will kick off the conversation with Thomas. Let's start with the basic. Payment orchestration. So this is a term that we hear more and more often in the industry today, but what does it actually mean in practice?
Thanks, Ivana. In practice, payment orchestration is becoming relevant for any enterprise client or payment provider who's processing transactions on more than 5 different technical connections. Just imagine there's a big retailer selling into different countries, and then having one connection to an acquirer in one country will not be sufficient, because this acquirer is very good in this one country, but he has probably a lower conversion rate than in other countries. So it's very important to have an orchestration offering always the best route in terms of performance, of costs in each target region of this client.
Matthias, do you have something to add to this?
Thanks, Ivana. Yeah, so that's exactly a part where G+D Netcetera comes into this play, and it's exactly as Tom had mentioned. Yeah, so the orchestration platform determines the best customer journey. G+D Netcetera provides the trust and the authentication layer that makes this journey as well possible and secure. And at the end of the day, this is as well much more than technology. It's as well that consumers want to pay without any effort. Financial institution based on this orchestration suppliers need strong fraud protection, regulatory compliance, operational reliability, and this comes from both, from DINAPE and for G+D Netcetera here.
Yeah. That's very interesting, because both of you, as I'm hearing you answer my first question, both of you operate within the same payment journey, but from very different angles, right? How does this collaboration between you work in practice, Tom?
Yes, happy to explain this. And DINAPE acts as a payment orchestration platform that controls the entire user journey of a buying customer. And this is including card transactions where services like G+D Netcetera are relevant, but this is also in addition covering other products like BNPL. And for us, it's very important to cover the whole user journey, and therefore we also analyze device signals. Yeah, for instance, we analyze what's the time zone or the language setting on a device. We analyze behavioral contextual data, risk scores, identity insights, transaction patterns, and because of this analysis, we are able to create with some our internal AI engines the best and optimal route for end customers to complete the purchase. This again helps our clients to maximize their revenue by trusting one partner. And G+D Netcetera is playing a very important role in this game because of their security experience over the last many years, and that's how we see the setup as an ecosystem.
Yeah, of course. And G+D Netcetera role, Matthias?
So it's following Thomas' explanation. It is that this collaboration with DINAPE is really particularly very powerful because both companies, DINAPE and G+D Netcetera, complement their capabilities and bring it from different parts into that role. And as said, DINAPE brings intelligence into the payment decision. G+D Netcetera contributes authentication expertise, trust services, and the secure transaction execution. And together, I think we are really helpful payment providers more beyond the traditional trade-off between security and customer experience. So in simple terms, I would say the orchestrations decided what should happen next, and G+D Netcetera ensures that it happens securely, efficiently, and at a scale.
Yeah. Let's try and make this a bit more tangible. Can you walk us through a real world example of how this collaboration works in the background during an online payment? Tom?
Yes. Let's take an international marketplace, an online marketplace who's covering 15 countries across Europe and is serving also end customers, corporate customers across this very different regions. And what we gathered with our orchestration platform is merchant information. So who's the merchant? How is it classified? We retrieve end customer information like transaction data, like amount, currency, selected payment methods, device information. And based on all of this information, we automatically select the best route. And this route is defined by our partners, by our clients, to say, is it the lowest cost route? Which obviously makes sense, but for other clients, it makes sense to have the maximum revenue. Yeah, it can also mean that you do not focus on the least cost, but the maximum reach. And our platform is allowing clients to select their proprietary strategy, and this is our goal, to support our clients maximizing their goals. And traditional players very often has a one-size-fits-all solution. And they like the flexibility, and this is where we see a very big opportunity, which is also supported by growth data, and therefore this is our core asset, to provide clients this flexibility to select their own choice in a self-service tool.
Yeah. So what makes this especially interesting, and I know for the listeners and for me especially, because I've had this topic for several episodes now in the podcast, customer expectations. They're changing really fast. I mean, we have to accept that they're changing really fast, coming from personal perspective also. I want payments to feel almost invisible. I mean, I want that process to be almost invisible. But at the same time, I'm expecting high security requirements. I want higher security requirements. And we all know that they're becoming a lot more stricter as time passes by. How does one balance these two things? This seamless payment, this how to say it, invisible payment for the customer, for the people, and the stricter requirements towards security. Matthias?
Yeah, Ivana, you're touching a really important and hot topic. Yeah, and as you said, the reality is that every additional step in a checkout journey carries a risk of customer drop-off, and that's why modern authentication is not longer be a one-size-fits-all process. So it's not simply about saying yes or no. It's about understanding the level of confidence behind this transaction when a customer is on the way to the checkout process. Yes. And so there are a lot of signals, such as customer behavior, transaction history, device characteristic, spending patterns, and additional contextual information to make a dynamic view on this risk and try to make the right decision. And therefore, the combination of orchestration and authentication becomes incredibly powerful. And that's why I think DINAPE and G+D Netcetera are really in a good cooperation modus for this risk and fraud patterns as well.
Tom, do you have something to add?
Yes, and Ivana, what you described, what we see is a super dynamic an environment in which we are all working. And how we tackled this from a DINAPE side, we decided first bring on the right people. And probably also very interesting for you to know, when we started this journey about 2 years ago, then our shareholders asked me to say, Tom, what people do we need to build a great and secure payment platform? And my response was, let's hire people with the right mindset. We don't need payment experience. And this was really a mind-changing situation. And what I mean with this is that if you don't have the right people with a mindset of user-friendly processes, but respectful cooperation with all the regulatory requirements we have, then you don't build a convincing solution. And therefore, we need to focus really strong on the user journey, but we also need to include in our discussions and workflow engines, we need to include the regulatory requirements. And only if both work together, then this will be a very convincing solution. So, and G+D Netcetera is a very important partner for us, not because of where they are today, but also where they will be in 5 years. And so when we discuss partnerships, that's really on a strategic level to say, are we confident that this partner will support us in our growth ambition? And will this partner push us also in further regions? And that's also coming back to see this cooperation.
Yeah. You mentioned regulatory. It's a key word. So in past episodes, I've been triggered when I hear this regulatory keyword, which we hear very, very often. We see a lot of changes on the regulatory side, right? PSD3, digital identity frameworks, evolving authentication standards, etc. How do you, Matthias, see orchestration helping companies stay adaptable in this fast-moving environment? We mentioned it's a really fast-moving environment, so it changes daily, right? Let's say daily. How do you see it helping companies stay adaptable?
Yeah, that's an important point, because regulatory compliance is a huge part, and brings a lot of effort and work to the payment players. And I think that orchestration players like DINAPE, they bring really an incredible value into this, because they provide flexibility of adapting all these new requirements, like authentication methods, routing strategies will change, compliance requirements. So as you said, PSR, PSD3 is in front of us, will change a couple of requirements into the market. And by having an DINAPE as a partner, this will help really to get it more flexible done, to get it really with a professional partner focusing on this, to get on top of all that, the seamless journey for a customer just following and not breaking out with additional complexity. And this is as well that fraudsters try to jump into the scenarios as well. Yeah, so they go not any single channel any longer. They really go on a broader view and cross-channel process, and that is what we have as well to have in mind, and have good rules and good tools to fight against it, and be this one step hopefully before they try to get into the system.
Of course. So unfortunately, we are coming to an end of our discussion for this episode, but I feel like we've barely scratched the surface with our topic, for which we will definitely have to do a bit of a deep dive in. But this is a question that I ask in almost all of my episodes in the podcast for the expert's opinion. Looking a bit ahead, where do you see this space evolving over the next few years? What will become most important? What do you think? If you can, I don't know, find one thing that you can set aside.
Yes, from our side, what we see is with the current trends of more regulation, more products, more sovereignty discussions, we said this will move from a payment orchestration in a data orchestration. Yeah, and we see this because with PSD3, the identity regulations, we see that there's more data will be provided, and they need to be intelligently managed. And so we see that payment orchestration is just the start, but this will go into the data orchestration. If it's payment, data, identity, this doesn't matter, but someone needs to orchestrate the various APIs and technologies.
Yeah. I would completely agree with Thomas, by the way. Yeah, so we are really moving toward the future where payment journeys become increasingly predictive, adaptive, and intelligence. Yeah, and so AI will play, and advanced analytics will play in real-time decisions, and will make it more accurate than ever before. But that means as well for the systems that they only can be in an effective way if they build on trust foundations, and if they have this secure elements as well in further orchestration paths. And that's why I think that is a great journey in front of us, yeah, as well together. So DINAPE and G+D Netcetera, and I think we both are looking forward to be successful.
Well, thank you both for the conversation and for sharing your perspectives. Unfortunately, we have come to an end with this episode today. I want to share that what really stands out is how important collaboration across the ecosystem has become. So we're combining intelligent orchestration with secure and scalable authentication infrastructure, where it creates a much stronger foundation for modern digital payments. I think you would agree with me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you again for being my guests in this episode.
Thank you, Ivana. Thanks, Matthias.
Yeah, thanks, Ivana. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you both for the conversation and for sharing your perspectives. What really stands out is how important collaboration across the ecosystem has become. Combining intelligent orchestration with secure and scalable authentication infrastructure creates a much more stronger foundation for modern digital payments. And that's all from today's episode of the Tech Tribe. Thanks for listening and for joining the conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, like, and share with your community.